There are seasons in life when the future feels uncertain. Nothing dramatic may be happening in the present, and yet something unsettled lingers beneath the surface. You may find yourself asking quiet questions. What will happen next? Will things work out? Am I prepared for what is coming? Is something going to go wrong? Fear of the future does not always appear as panic often. It appears as restlessness, a constant scanning of possibilities, a subtle anticipation of problems, inability to fully relax in the present moment. And yet Scripture repeatedly calls us towards steadiness. In Matthew 6:34 Jesus says, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." That statement is not dismissing responsibility. It is correcting perspective. Fear grows when we attempt to live tomorrow before it arrives. We imagine conversations that have not happened. We rehearse outcomes that are not certain. We anticipate losses that may never occur. And in doing so, we exhaust ourselves in advance. The first strength truth about the future is this: fear multiplies in imagined scenarios. When we project ourselves into unknown outcomes, our minds often fill in the blanks with worst-case possibilities. But imagined futures do not contain God's grace for that day. God gives grace daily, not in advance. Consider the Israelites in the wilderness. Each morning, manna appeared. Enough for that day, not enough for a week, not enough for a month. When they tried to store it in fear of tomorrow, it spoiled. The lesson was clear: provision is daily. Fear often demands guarantees. Faith walks one day at a time. Let's consider Joshua. After Moses' death, Joshua faced a future that must have felt overwhelming. He was stepping into leadership after a towering figure. The responsibility was immense. The unknown was vast. God repeatedly told him, "Be strong and courageous." Why? Because strength was required not for yesterday, but at that moment today for the next step. God did not give Joshua a full map of every battle. He gave him assurance of his presence. That takes us to the second strength truth. God's presence is more stable than future uncertainty. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you." Notice the emphasis: not do not fear because you know the outcome, not do not fear because you can control events, but do not fear, for I am with you. The stability of the future does not come from clarity about events. It comes from confidence in God's presence. Now think of David again. Before facing Goliath, David did not know how the battle would unfold. He did not know the exact sequence of events. He knew something else. He knew that God, who had been with him before, would be with him again. Fear of the future shrinks when we remember God's faithfulness in the past. If God has sustained us before and is with us today, He will not disappear tomorrow. The third strength truth is this: we are strengthened for the step in front of us, not the entire journey at once. Psalm 119:105 says, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." A lamp illuminates the next step, not the entire road. Fear intensifies when we demand to see the full distance, but God often gives clarity one step at a time. Consider Abraham. He was called to leave his homeland without knowing the full destination. He moved forward with partial clarity, not recklessly, but trustingly. And trust does not eliminate uncertainty. It anchors us within it. Now let us bring this into everyday life. Fear of the future may attach itself to many areas: career stability, health concerns, financial security, family decisions, personal calling. We imagine potential problems. We calculate possible losses. We attempt to solve situations that do not yet exist. But tomorrow's strength is not needed today. Today requires today's faithfulness. When we try to carry tomorrow's burdens prematurely, we feel overwhelmed. The future feels heavy not because it is certain, but because it is unknown. and unknown spaces invite imagination. And imagination without trust produces anxiety. But here is something stabilizing. God is already present in the future you are worried about. Before you arrive at that day, He is there. Before the conversation happens, He is there. Before the decision unfolds, He is there. We often imagine facing tomorrow alone, but Scripture consistently tells us otherwise. Hebrews 13:8 reminds us that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. If He is the same tomorrow as He is today, then His faithfulness does not fluctuate with circumstances. Fear often grows when we assume we will not be able to handle what is coming. But strength is supplied as needed. When Joshua stepped into leadership, strength from God was there with him. When David stepped onto the battlefield, courage from God was there with him. When Abraham stepped into uncertainty, guidance from God was there with him. None of them was given tomorrow's strength years in advance. They were given what they needed when the moment arrived. So how do we face the future without fear? First, we return our focus to today. Jesus' instruction was not abstract. Do not worry about tomorrow is immediately followed by each day has enough trouble of its own. We are called to live responsibly today, not anxiously in advance. Second, we remember past faithfulness. Reflect on moments when things seemed uncertain before. Didn't strength come? Didn't provision arrive? Didn't guidance appear? Fear loses intensity when memory reinforces trust. Third, we limit mental rehearsals of worst-case scenarios. There is a difference between wise planning and anxious imagining. Planning is practical. Anxious imagining is draining. Fourth, we anchor ourselves in God's presence, not predictions. We may not know what tomorrow holds, but we know who holds tomorrow, and that distinction changes posture. Fear says, "What if something goes wrong?" Faith says, "Whatever comes, God will be present." There is calm strength in that perspective. It does not eliminate responsibility. It does not remove uncertainty, but it removes isolation. You are not stepping into the future alone. You are walking with God who has already walked ahead of you. And if tomorrow brings challenge, it will also bring sufficient grace. So instead of trying to solve tomorrow today, remain steady, remain faithful in current responsibilities, remain attentive to what is within reach, because the future is not shaped by worry. It is strengthened by daily trust. Fear of the future diminishes when we understand that we are not asked to control it. Instead, we are required to trust God concerning it. The future is not controlled by fear. It is a space where God's faithfulness will continue to unfold.